Hello. Thank you for coming and visiting my channel. My name is Jennifer and this is Jen the Bookworm. And if you've been here before, I appreciate your returning. And if you are new, then welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy my content, me, and hope you come back for more. So today I'm going to do hopefully a short video on, it's a tag that I've been tagged to by Theo from Rekindled Reader. Thank you very much, buddy. This is the this or that tag. It's going to give me a bunch of options and I'm going to tell you which I prefer between the two. And that's just all there is to it. Let's get down to it. So the first one is paperback or hardback. Well, I don't read physical books. Obviously, if you've been around, if you know my channel, you know that I've repeated that a lot of times. But when I did, I was a paperback person. And not a trade paperback. Controversially, I liked a mass market paperback. It was accessible and cheap, and I lived in small rural towns pre-internet. It was a lot harder to just to afford to get non-mass market books. They did come out with hardbacks and of really popular books, and they'd be put in grocery stores and stuff like that. But generally, if I wanted to get a book, it was the mass market paperback. And I don't know, I liked a well-worn mass market paperback. I liked the look of it. It was easy to tote around in my purse and to keep with me at school. And that's what I preferred. I never really got into the trade paperbacks and hardback books. I just never saw the need for the expense of them, and also they were difficult to read. So the next one is Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings I have a very strong attachment to because of my father. He loved Lord of the Rings, and from my father is where I get a lot of my introduction to and love of fantasy and some sci-fi. But I've never actually read Lord of the Rings, which is something I'm hoping to rectify soon, especially since Andy Serkis has just come out with the new audiobooks of Lord of the Rings, and I'm excited to delve into that one day this year, hopefully. But for me, it's about Harry Potter, and it's not necessarily the same kind of nostalgia thing as it is for some. I'm too old for it to have come out when I was a kid. I didn't read it as a kid. I read Harry Potter as an adult. I think in my early 20s is when I started Harry Potter, and I loved it. I loved it. The first couple of books were fun, but really once we started getting into the meatier books later on, I really loved the series. It really meant a lot to me, and even still, even though I haven't read them in a while and stuff like that, you know, we still rep Harry Potter here sometimes. So, you know, talking about what houses we belong to and so on. So I have to say, for me, Harry Potter. So real books or ebooks. Now, when the ebook reader first came out, I was one of those that was like, oh no, I love the feel of the book, the smell of the book. But I got a hold of an e-reader, and it was compact and lightweight and easy to use. And even before my eyesight started going, it was convenient when I was almost at the end of this book, not to have to carry 2 books to college with me while I'm also carrying all the other books required for college. If I had time to finish reading, I was going to finish this book and I wanted this book. An ebook reader made it easier to carry more books with me. And now that my sight has gone, an ebook reader is essential if I'm going to physically read. I need the font to be bigger. I cannot do these paper Bible thin, teeny tiny print on a book, and I don't want to miss out on a book because it's formatted in that way. So for me, I am an ebook reader over a real book reader. Buying books or borrowing books. I wish I could say borrowing books, but I am a buyer. I am impatient. I do not like trying to borrow a book and having to put a hold on it because other people want to read the same book I want to read. Curse them. I like having the book at the ready when I want it, and unfortunately I pay a lot for that. And I kind of wish that I didn't. And so I am trying to look into borrowing options, particularly because I get annoyed that I'm like, ooh, this cover, what this person said, I'm going to buy this book. No, I'm going to buy this series because it's all on sale. And then I read the first book and I'm like, oh, this isn't what I wanted at all. I didn't like this at all. If I borrow the book first and I determine I don't like it, I just return the book and I didn't pay for anything. And if I determine I do like it, I can then buy them, which would save me a lot in money. So I am trying to get better at the borrowing. Let's hope I do. So read in bed or read in a chair. There's something about reading in bed and stuff that sounds so cozy and comfy, but it does not work for me. It just doesn't. When I'm in bed for too long, I don't know if it's my mattress or if it's me, but my hips start to hurt and I don't know, the lighting's not great in my room. And maybe that's on me. Get better lamps or whatnot. Get good. But it's not as good. For me, I prefer to read at my dining room table. It's where I listen to audiobooks primarily, so it's where I do that while I'm on my computer, doing other things. Otherwise, I like to sit on my couch and read there. But that's my preferred place. Book club or read alone. I never thought that I would love book clubbing as much as I seem to. And when I say book clubbing, I mean doing read-alongs and readathons. I don't actually go to a physical book club. But I only ever read alone when I was younger. I read books that my mom liked, but she had already read them. So we never read books at the same time because usually she would buy the book and then we didn't both of us have a copy of the same book that was not cost effective. But then growing up, none of my friends read what I read. None of the people around me as an adult read what I read. My sister's a great big reader, but she reads different stuff than I like. Well, there's some overlap, but not much. My other sister, she likes Stephen King, and there's some overlap there, but she's lives in a different state. So I'm really glad I found Discords and stuff like that with people that I could do read-alongs and readathons, because I found I really, really like them. I really like reading with other people and discussing the books as we go along, and so I love that. So I would have to say book club atmosphere definitely beats reading something alone. Library or bookstore. Now I'm taking from this, the question is, would I rather spend time in a library or a bookstore? And I have to say, I have a really weird anxiety about bookstores. I don't know what it is. I mean, when I go into a Barnes & Noble, the atmosphere is great, and there's lots of books, and it's fun to kind of look at that. But I don't know, I get a little anxious, especially if someone comes down the corridor I'm in and they're wanting to look at the same books as me. I feel like I'm in their way or whatever, and I don't know. I don't feel like it's as conducive to taking my time. So I actually prefer libraries. I like the fact that libraries have tables and chairs and places for you to sit. It's okay for you to grab a book and to go sit someplace and read through it or thumb through it or whatever. There's no expectation that you have to take it home. I have had friends who have been told in a bookstore, if you're going to read it, buy it, and that's just not a thing in a library. And I love the atmosphere of a library. It's very cool, fun to hang out in. So I would choose library. Nonfiction or fiction. I read both, but I do prefer fiction. Nonfiction, the kind of nonfiction that I choose, I either choose stuff that is going to make me laugh and whatnot, but primarily I choose stuff that's going to make me think. And while a lot of fantasy books do make me think about some things, it's more entertaining. It's more entertaining. You get to go to a different world half the time, and I enjoy fiction better. Print or audio. That's an easy one for me. I'm an audiobooker. My eyesight just doesn't really work very well for print books. I can read them if they are a big enough font, but I'll get headaches and eye strain, and it's just not worth it. I have no idea how long I'm going to keep my eyesight for, and I see no reason to strain it and reduce the amount of time that I have with my eyes. So I'm an audiobooker, and I know that that's hard for some people, and it has been difficult for me. I feel like it's something I've trained myself to be able to do. It is a little harder in that sometimes people don't always recognize that I'm reading, and so I have to pause and start, pause and start, pause and start. Also, I think comprehension sort of takes a little bit of a backseat on some things because it is easy for your mind to wander while you're listening. But I find that I've trained myself out of some of those bad habits, and I have trained myself to be able to listen while I'm doing more easier things for my other side of my head to be focusing on. Like I play solitaire, and it helps me to focus. I do word finds or fill-it-ins or something like that. That helps me to focus. I can put together a puzzle while doing an audiobook, and that helps me to focus. So I have found that I've trained myself to do pretty good with an audiobook, and that's better for my eyes anyway. New books or old books. Now, I don't know if this means modern contemporary books versus classic books, because if it meant classic books, I feel like it would have said classic books. But so what I'm taking this to mean is new, shiny, off the shelf books, or books that you already have in your collection, or books that maybe are a few years old and have been tried out by people before. So for me, I always find comfort in an older book. And like I said, I don't necessarily mean a classic, but a book I like to reread. I'm a big rereader, and actually it's one of my challenges with BookTube is to not do a whole lot of rereading. So I like books, books that I buy generally stay on the virtual shelf for a few months before I actually work it into my TBR. It is the way it is. I'm like that with movies too. I'll buy a movie and be like, that'll be fun to watch someday. And I almost always do get around to it, but that is the way I consume books and media. So I like the books that are just coming off the shelf. I don't know, that I feel a little anxiety about it, I guess. It's just, am I going to like it? Am I not going to like it? And a lot of people are talking about it right now. And so I kind of like to let people have their time with when the books first come out, and then to process it and make videos about it. And then I'll watch those non-spoiler videos and find out, is this a book that I think I would like or not? And get a couple of people that I trust their recommendations before I delve into it. So I'm going to say old books here. The next one is short chapters or long chapters. And to me, I'm not sure. I think it depends on the book, but mostly I would have to say short chapters. A lot of the fantasy that I read, they are not short chaptered books, and I read them just fine. But I like a short chapter. It gives you a good stopping point if you have to stop. It also makes the book pacing feel like you're getting through. I mean, it's the same amount of words if you take a chapter and split it into 3 chapters than if you leave it into 1 chapter. It's the same amount of words and stuff like that, but it feels faster. It feels better. I don't know. It feels good. I like a good short chapter. I like a good fast-paced book. It's not conducive to all things that I like to read, but that is something I enjoy when I do get it. So that was the this or that tag. And now is the time traditionally when we would tag some other people to do this video. I am going to, I'm going to just, I'm going to cop out. I'm sorry. I still feel a little like unsure or uncomfortable. Still a really small channel and I don't know who's watching. So I'm just going to say, if you feel like this was a fun challenge to think about this or that, and you feel like you want to do this challenge, you are tagged. And I feel like if you don't want to make a video about it, but you want to answer the questions in the comments, you're tagged. Go for it. I would appreciate any kind of feedback that you have, any kind of answers that you might have, and maybe, you know, you feel differently about a long chapter versus a short chapter. Leave me some comments. I'm interested. But if you want to do this video, you are tagged. Just let me know that you did it. I would love to watch your selections and see how you feel about this or that. And with that, I appreciate you coming and spend some time with me, and I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you did, please leave me a like. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And I appreciate you and your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.